All right, so if you're in the trucking industry, whether that's a freight broker, a truck driver, or a dispatcher, you've probably noticed that 2022 has been a tough year. And it has to do with inflation. It has to do with rising fuel prices. Even right now, even though fuel prices have come down in some states, other states, fuel is still high. If you look at California, and some of that fuel up there is about $6 still per gallon. So it depends on where you are, will determine what you're paying for fuel. So truck drivers have some serious challenges. Freight brokers have some serious challenges. When you look at your profit margins as a freight broker right now, I am sure, definitely on our end, those margins have tightened. When you look at our revenue for this month, we are 60% less in revenue in the month of October than we were the previous month. So our revenues have declined. I'm sure many small truckers and small freight brokers have experienced the same thing. So what I want to talk to you about today is, what is the way out? How do you get out of this? Because when you look at the feds and what they're doing, they're trying to control or tame interest rates. So they're going to keep raising rates. So if you have credit cards, you have loans out there that have variable rates, it's very likely those rates are going to continue to go up and you're going to pay more for that credit. So be aware of that. Understand, if you decide to borrow money, right now probably is a bad time to do that because rates are so high. It's costing you so much for the money that you're borrowing. There is no cheap money right now, at least compared to what we were borrowing money at. Auto loans, when you take a look at mortgage rates, all of those are going up substantially, double when it comes down to car loans and mortgage loans, right? I think mortgage loans now at about 7%, highest they have been in a very long time. So it's just navigating the space that we're in, understanding that you're in a different time now, and anybody can manage a business when things are going well, right? 2021, 2020, when things were going really well, everybody was talking about how much money they're making and how well they're doing in business. But that's not the case right now. Now, it's about bringing out your management hat and being a very good CEO, being a very good leader to lead and guide your business through these tough times. So I want to talk about what I think is important for us to be doing as small business owners during this crunch, right? Let's take a look at how you're managing your overhead, right? Of course, truck drivers will have more overhead than small freight brokerages, but don't get that twisted, because even though truck drivers have more overhead, if you have too much overhead as a brokerage, you are going to cause yourself some serious issues, because it's very likely you're not making the same money that you were making in 2021. So when that happens, you're not making the same money and you're still having to pay whatever overhead you have. And it's very likely that if you have credit, that credit is costing you more, then you could cause yourself some serious cash flow issues based on the current environment. So I would say right now, if you don't have to borrow money, don't borrow money. It's not a good idea, in my opinion, just to go and borrow money right now to, say I'm borrowing money, or I'm going to borrow money to do something that's really risky right now. I wouldn't think that would be a good idea, right? Because it could blow up and it could leave you holding the bag. And now you have to pay that money back on top of a hefty interest rate. Now, when we take a look at rates and how you're negotiating with shippers, right? A lot of times when we get in these types of situations, it's about just getting loads. And when you get in that type of mindset, what you find yourself doing a lot of times is giving heavy discounts on loads. Yeah, we're already in a tight market. Yeah, we're competing against other freight brokers, other truck drivers, but you don't want to give away the farm on these rates, right? Out of fear of not getting a lane. Sometimes you're just going to have to sacrifice that lane if the rate starts to get just too low, right? Because when you take a look at it, if you're moving loads and you're not making money, then what kind of, advantage does that really give you? It doesn't. Yeah, you're gonna, maybe get more opportunities from shippers because your rates are so low, but it means that you're just moving loads without making money. And it probably is gonna put you in a tough crunch to try and get those loads moved, right? Although truck drivers really can't be very choosy right now, at least small truck drivers, right? When you take a look at rates are down across the board. So yes, you still want to negotiate. I think that is just the business we're in, the business we've chosen. We have to negotiate. We have to try and get the best prices. I think the freight brokers, we have to really start looking at lanes. We have to really start pulling out the pen and trying to get the best rates in these lanes, trying to be as competitive as you can possibly be. When you look at your overall business model and the amount of money that you're making right now, when I looked at my revenues for the month of October as compared to September and August, we're down 60% as compared to those months in the month of October. So things are continuing to get worse and worse, right? And when you are 60% down in revenues, just think about if you have an expensive lifestyle, right? You may have been making some really great money in 2021. And if you kind of upped your lifestyle to the money that you're making, you're having a really tough time right now. The feds today are looking at raising rates another 75 basis points, right? And that will continue throughout 2023. They are talking about stepping back a little bit, but the total rate is they're looking to take that total rate to about 5%. And we're at about 3.25% Fed interest rate right now. So we still have a little ways to go. And they're talking about some more rate hikes throughout 2023. So money is going to continue to get more and more expensive for you to borrow right now. So if you don't have to borrow, don't borrow money unless you have a really good plan for that money. Now, if you have a plan that you're going to make more than 5%, more than 6%, then maybe that's something that you want to look at. If it's going to help take your business to another level, the money that you're spending, maybe that's something that you want to look at, because, just because it's tough times don't mean that you want to pull back and just don't do anything. You, as a business owner, you may see an opportunity. And if you see an opportunity and you feel that it's a good idea for you to explore that opportunity, go for it. Don't just sit on the sidelines being scared because we're in tough times. But be careful. Don't just go out and do things because you have a feeling. You just feel good about this, so I'm just going to go and do it. No. Make sure you are checking the blocks. And if it's good, go for it. If it's not, then it's something that you probably want to take a long look at and make sure that you're making the best decision for you and your business. When you look at overhead right now, your overhead probably is not going to change. It's not just going to change in the middle of the year unless you start cutting some things back. If you see that there are some things that you can cut back that you don't have to have right now as a freight broker, as a truck driver, then you definitely want to cut those things back, because it's very likely that you've taken revenue hits, right? And when you take revenue hits and your overhead is still the same, then that's going to cause some cash flow issues, right? So let's just take a look at our overall situation. I don't think it's a time to panic, but I do think it's a time to be very aware of your specific situation. Be very aware of your numbers, because your numbers will decide whether you keep moving forward or not. It's a lot of businesses that will go under this year and next year, right? You don't want to be one of those businesses. So make sure you're managing your business so that you can get through this storm. It is definitely storming right now. This is an inflation storm. It's a fuel storm. It is a rate storm. It is a big, big storm right now. And the only way that you're going to survive this storm is you have to manage your way out of it. You have to be a good CEO, a good leader, to understand the landscape and make sure that you're making the correct moves during this environment. That's what I wanted to share with you today. I certainly hope this information has been helpful. If you want to learn more about the freight broker business, I'll leave a free link in the description. It's my 5-video series, and it's titled How the Load Movement Process Works. Give you a chance to come into the office with me so you can watch over my shoulders. I move loads, I talk to shippers and carriers to give you a better understanding of how this business works, before you decide to come into it. And then if you're interested in learning more about how we go out and find the customers that we work with, because right now is a time that you need to be maximizing your customer base, increasing those customers that you have to give yourself more opportunities, I'll leave you a free video right here that shows you exactly how we go out and do that. So until the next time, I wish you the very best in your life and business. See you at the top, because the bottom is much too crowded.